Today on Making Mosaics, we'll be making a holiday trivet with a gift box design. I'm Susie Molman and I'll be your host instructor. Thank you for joining me. We'll need to gather these supplies for our project. We need an assortment of colored glass. Opaque is best so that you don't see the adhesive underneath when you have completed your trivet. We need an 8-inch square plaque base for the base of our trivet. This is the foundation on which we'll build our trivet. Good glass making tools are essential to have a nice result. Glass nippers for small, intricate cuts. Running pliers to make straight cuts. Pattern shears for cutting out the 1/8 inch grout lines in the pattern. Tile nippers for hard to control corners. Grocer pliers, these we use on inside cuts, what we call in the glass trade the money cuts, because the perfection in the inside curve is where it counts. A pumice stone to soften the edges of our glass to make it safe and so that we don't cut our hands. Assorted marking pens, an X-Acto knife, and of course, the all-important pistol grip oil-filled glass cutter. We'll need adhesive, we need our glass pattern, and we need a cutting surface. I use the Morton system because the grid catches all of the sharp shards and creates a safer working environment. We also need grout finishing, pre-adhesive felt for backing our trivet, a mixing bowl and spoon, soft cloth for buffing, safety gloves, a bowl of soapy water. We begin with our pattern. I got this freeware from the Delphi Glass site. The interesting thing about mosaics is the space in between for the grout lines. We create those by leaving voids or spaces between the pieces of glass. I'll demonstrate what I mean. When you cut with glass shears, you don't make long steady strides as you do in regular cutting. You make short, swift strokes and it cuts out the channel all in one movement. Notice when I lay out the pattern, I don't start at the top of the glass. That's because cutting glass isn't like cutting paper. You need a good 1/4 of an inch around all sides in order to make a clean, straight cut. So you have to allow yourself room to work. I trace each piece on its corresponding piece of glass and number them so I have a map to follow when I'm finished. Now that we've finished with green, it's time to start on our red. These are the money cuts, because they're the ones with inside curves. Curves are the hardest thing to achieve in glass, so it's important to give yourself a lot of room and space between designs so that you can nip away the negative space. Once all our pieces are cut to their rough shape, we need to polish the edges and finish the sizing. But you can start with a pumice stone. Glass professionals will use a grinder, but for the hobbyist, a pumice stone works just fine to soften the edges and make the glass safe to work with. Grout and glue are messy, so to protect the edges of our work, we're going to tape off the beveled edges so that we can have a nice finished result. Now it's time to dry fit our pattern. This is the fun part. I keep a picture of my pattern close by for reference as I work. It's like making a puzzle. I start at the corners and I work inwards. Now that the white looks like it fits, I'll start on the red. I'm only going to glue the top hemisphere at this point because I need to be able to cut and fit as I go. Now it's time to cut glass. Now that the reds are in place, I'll be moving on to the greens. I'm using 2 shades of green, a dark and a lighter green. because that'll give me the appearance of the box having dimension and shape. Now that the greens are in place, we're ready for the final edges of white. Now that all the glass is in place, we're ready to start grouting. To grout, we need about 1/3 cup of unsanded grout. And we add water slowly until it's about the mix consistency of, I'd say, a muffin mix. That's about right. Now grout is really corrosive, so you want to use gloves. I'm just going to pour it on the surface and make a mud pie. I'm smoothing it at an angle so that I don't pull the grout out of the lines that I just created. Now we're going to wipe away the excess grout. There we have it, a buffed and polished trivet. All we have left is to put the self-adhesive felt on the back to protect the bottom surface. Thanks for joining us on Making Mosaics, and we hope you enjoyed our holiday gift box trivet. Please join us again for Making Mosaics, and have a great holiday season.